What is going on, everybody? It's Alex coming back here in another video. And today we're going to be doing the Bengals. Yes, I'm making this video back to back, and solely because I kind of crapped on the Bengals, and I want to make sure that I do them right. So let's get into this video. No need to do a long intro or anything like that. Let's quickly talk about the quarterback. Obviously, Joe Burrow, fresh off of an ACL tear. So God forbid, hopefully that never happens again. But thanks to the layout of this series, no injuries will happen. So hopefully he comes back the same, and we're going to just assume that he does. But obviously that is something to take into account. But for now, let's keep going on with it. Let's talk about his wide receiver group. We got Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, as well as Jamar Chase leading that squad, an elite trio to start out. So I'm a big fan of them. I still think they probably should have went more of like an offensive line approach with Penei Sewell, but Jamar Chase is an absolute beast, so I can't really get too critical of that decision. So next we got CJ Uzomah, Drew Sample. This is their easily, obviously got Thaddeus Moss here, but this is easily their worst position group with, of course, Lord Shrek here as well as Mason Shrek. It's going to be a major issue this year, having a check down option, especially without a really good offensive line. So beware, Bengals fans, because that's going to hurt. You're going to definitely have to rely a lot on Tyler Boyd to be able to be open in the short, quick game. So that's definitely something to worry about. Looking at the running backs, you got Joe Mixon, you got Chris Evans here, great signing. You got guys like Samaje Perine, Travion Williams. I like a lot of these guys, Puka as well. So there is a good running back group here. So I like that quite a bit. And then obviously we got to talk about the offensive line. You got Jonah and then Jackson Carman. They got Deontay Smith as well, which I'm a big fan of. Honestly, I totally forgot about that. Hence why I tried to do this immediately after. So technically, you got a complete offensive line besides center, and that's something that we're going to address very soon. But Deontay Smith, a great signing. He's going to be a guard. I think Jackson Carman has to be as well. He has to be. And then Jonah Williams, of course, solid left tackle. Hopefully he stays healthy, which, of course, as I'll continue to repeat, it's a constant in this. But obviously you got Trey Hopkins and Billy Price as the guards with Xavier Tusuafilo. A bunch of guys who don't matter. Quentin Spain's also there, though. So there's a lot of room for some rotation on the offensive line. Center-wise, they have Trey Hill. It's like, I trust Trey Hill. I know he's developmental. So right now, I really don't think that it's much of a jump. But maybe 2-3 years' time, he could be a solid-ass starting center. I think he'll make his second contract. So now let's address the defense. Talking about the defensive front, you got DJ Reader, Larry Ogunjobi, Cam Sample. There's Tyler Shelton as well. It's a really good group right here. Not to mention Mike Daniels, and then I'm forgetting where I'm bugging on his name. The defensive tackle. Oh my goodness, it's like right there. It's like I'm bugging, but regardless, I'm wondering where their star defensive tackle is. But regardless, they have a really good defensive front, so that's good. Looking at the defensive end side, you got Trey Hendrickson here. Khalid Kareem is pretty solid as well. Sam Hubbard's doing a pretty good job. Wyatt Hubert is going to be just a backup guy. I think Cam Sample can also take reps here. I think he'd be a great fit. So overall, pretty big fan of it. Obviously, let's check out the linebacking squad here. You got Jordan Evans, who could also be a rotational pass rusher, but, it is what it is. Linebacker-wise, you got Logan Wilson, Akeem Davis-Gaither, Jermaine Pratt, Joseph Asai as well. Joseph Asai, I love him. I had an early second on him. They got him in the third, but where are they going to play him? That's a real question. I don't think he's an off-the-ball linebacker. He's okay in coverage, but I think he should be a pass rusher and doesn't really fit. So it's a little bit of a worry for me. Honestly, personally, I would trade him to a team, maybe try to garner a second from him with a team that probably wants to get an outside linebacker that can rush. But I love the fact that Joseph Asai's there. There's a lot of guys who are not that great in that linebacking core. This is my big issue. I don't think Logan Wilson's amazing. Don't think Akeem Davis-Gaither or Jermaine Pratt are going to be spectacular. They have all potential, as well as Joseph Asai, but none of them I'm confident in. So I'm not going to stamp my approval on it and just be like that's a guaranteed dub right there. And then let's check out the safeties before we address the corners. Obviously, long snapper. I don't even need to talk about that. Riley Reef as well on the offensive line. Safety-wise, you got Von Bell, Jesse Bates. That's a pretty damn good squad. I don't think you don't really need much more than that, especially if we're assuming full healthiness. Again, if we aren't, the backups are pretty thin, if we're going to be real with each other. It's a really thin group. Of course, Ricardo Allen there, but whoop-de-doo, right? Like, Ricardo Allen's not going to stop much. So Something I worry about in real life, but not in this series. Trey Waynes, looking at the cornerback group, Trey Waynes, Mike Hilton, Chidobe Awuzie. That's a solid starting three. Nothing to write home about. Nothing I would be like, holy shit, this team can stop somebody. Mike Hilton can definitely stuff up the slot, though. So I'm pretty proud of the Bengals for being able to sign Mike Hilton. Don't really know why he signed here. There's a couple other teams that need some slot corners that he would have been really good on. But the rest are pretty much like Darius Phillips, like whoop-de-doo, Eli Apple, okay. I think that they have a solid starting three, but nothing more than that. That depth is going to be actually a factor when I consider the fact that the team has to play a full game. You guys won't have a guy taking every single snap. Like, you will have some guys rotating in, and the backups are pretty brutal. So starting off week 1, Minnesota goes to Cincinnati, and this is a tough one. This is a tough one off the get-go because Minnesota has a solid-ass receiving crew, right? They have a good offensive line now, too. They got Christian Darrisaw in the first. Their pass rush is garbage, which Cincinnati still has weakness on the offensive line against. Deontay Smith, not ready yet. Trey Hill, not ready yet. Jackson Carman, still not ready. Riley Reef, not even that good. So you have one guy who you can be sure of on your offensive line. That's a tough one. It's a real tough one because, again, they are getting back a couple dudes. Again, Kirk Cousins, I don't know if I can really believe in him. The corners are good enough, as well as the safeties, to be able to prevent deep shots. And then the run stuffing, man, those linebackers are going to be a major hole. But tight ends also kind of a big hole for Minnesota. It's a tough one, but I think they have the run stuffing ability with Tyler Shelvin there to be able to choose Cincinnati, as well as DJ Reader. So Cincinnati definitely going off to a hot start. But Cincinnati goes to Chicago, and Chicago has an amazing pass rush full of guys who are seasoned veterans there. Good linebacking crew, a solid corner crew. I know they need a cornerback too, but obviously, like, they have some solid guys still there. I'm going to choose Justin Fields to be winning this game. And then same thing with Pittsburgh. I honestly think that Pittsburgh's pass rush is just too much, especially on the interior for a very young and very raw group. I think Cincinnati has a lot of room to grow. In 1, maybe 2 years, they're going to be at the top of their division. I think that they're going to be able to climb Baltimore, who are going to be cap-strung. Cleveland might be at the top of the division, but we'll see what they give Baker. But I think Joe Burrow, since he's on that rookie contract, might be able to climb. Because I think the Steelers will fall off given their cap terribleness and then also neglecting the offensive line. And then Baltimore again. Like, you can't pay the rest of the team when you're paying a lot of money to Lamar Jackson. But next, Jacksonville goes to Cincy. I think that Joe Burrow shows up in the bright lights more than the guy who he beat for the national championship in Trevor Lawrence. So I think that's going to be another victory for Cincinnati. And then obviously, assuming Aaron Rodgers is playing, again, this will change when we do Green Bay. Green Bay is going to win always against Cincinnati. Cincinnati goes to Detroit, though. Detroit is an interesting situation because their defense is not the best. Not at all. But the one weakness they have is tight ends. And, I mean, the one weakness they have is linebackers, and the one weakness Cincinnati has is tight ends. It kind of cancels each other out. But the corner group is not good enough. I think Cincinnati is able to take the cake right there because Jamar Chase is going to eat up. But Baltimore is going to easily sweep Cincinnati for right now. Again, their defensive front is an amazing pass rush. They still, if I'm not mistaken, the Ravens still have a hole at right tackle. So I don't know if Villanueva's actually signed yet. But regardless, we're going to be doing that video the next day. So you guys can definitely make sure to check that one out as well to see if we do any adjustments. Because, again, the more we learn, the more we adjust. Next, Cincinnati going to New York. New York has a developing offensive line, a young quarterback, and then a solid but not great wide receiver core. So, I mean, actually, they got Elijah Moore, though. They have a good wide receiver core now. They have kind of a hole at running back. I mean, they have Michael Carter there, who I love. I had a late second on him. They got him in the 4th, so cheers to New York for doing that. But I would have to say that the defense is a little bit suspect. It's a little bit suspect. I don't think the corners are ready right now to be able to handle Cincinnati's firepower. And I don't know if Zach Wilson is ready for the bright lights. So I'm choosing New York to beat them. And I think Cleveland's going to be able to sweep. This division is just too strong this year, in my eyes, to be able to beat for Cincinnati to really beat. Maybe Cleveland's the one team that they could just because Baker Mayfield might slip off. But for right now, given the fact that Cleveland's just a powerhouse again, you just have to rock with Cleveland. Next, Cincinnati, fully rested, goes to Vegas. And you already know my thoughts on this. I think Cincinnati can handle Vegas 10 out of 10 times. Vegas has an okay wide receiver core, not a great offensive line. I'm not a fan of Leatherwood, so that might be influencing my records predictions, but I just can't. I think Cincinnati is able to withstand some of the firepower of the Vegas defense and be able to deal with their offense. Pittsburgh then going to Cincinnati. This is a tough one because I'm like considering potentially flipping this game, but I think the Steelers are going to be hungry and they're going to want to win. So I think that's going to be a dub for Pittsburgh. Now, Chargers Cincinnati. I believe that's a rematch of Week 1 last year. That's a tough one because the Chargers are fully loaded, but they're going to Cincinnati later in the year, and you already know how much I like to go for the home team to win. The Chargers pass rush is just too much for me, though. I think I got to go the Chargers pass rush on this one. Same thing with San Francisco, man. San Francisco is going to be at full health and like fully loaded at their guard spots as well. I'm not a fan of Aaron Banks, but I mean, I still would have given them big props if they got him later on. So this is a little bit of a rough season for the Bengals, but it's nothing terrible because then you go to Denver, and Denver has a fully loaded defense that can withstand the offense and an offense that could beat Cincinnati's defense. And I was a fan of Drew Lock, by the way, guys. You guys should have seen last year. That was one of my dark horse teams. I had him as a 10-win team. Next, Baltimore goes to Cincy. I'm going to be honest. I have a weird feeling that Cincinnati can beat Baltimore just because I believe their defensive front can withstand the Baltimore rush attack. I'm going to have them be an upset right here. I like that game. It's Kansas City going to Cincy. I think that's a pretty obvious one. And then lastly, Cincinnati going to Cleveland. Cleveland will be resting their starters. I'm going to go Cincinnati. So let me know what you guys think. Obviously, I wanted to do this one a little bit quicker because I just feel like there wasn't too much to talk about. The Bengals have a young but developing team, and that's the key. They're developing. The rest of their teams in their division are built. They're ready. So that's the problem with Cincinnati. They're getting there. They'll be there, just not today. I'll see you on the far side. Peace.